everybody, welcome again, Mikey Ice. I'm about to do a live with Girl Mel from San Diego, and we're basically gonna do a follow up to catch up on, her journey with breaking and, just life and talking about the road to the Olympics. What's up? Hey, Levi, what's going on?
Hello.
Mel?
Hey, happy Wednesday.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for doing this with me again, and I'm just so excited. I've been seeing you doing a lot of amazing things. But before we start, can you introduce yourself again?
Yes. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday to everyone who's on here. My name is Girl Mel or Melissa Adao from San Diego, California. And yeah, I'm happy to be on here. This is my second time, and I know this is sort of like a follow up and just
Yes.
kind of chit chat to the community. So thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you once again. And you represent Floristas, all right?
Yes, I am on Florista's crew.
Is that your only
It
crew?
is. It is.
Is that your first
Or
crew?
40 and over crew, whoever wants to be part of the 40 and over crew, you know? Trying to
Is that your,
just create good energy with all those dancers who are over 40, still
oh,
doing it, still
nice.
working hard, and yeah, we're about to, just support each other and give each other love.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So if we can start over again, like, when did you first get involved with hip hop?
Yeah, well, I want to say this is a really interesting question because I want to say I truly became more aware of hip hop culture
Hmm.
and its roots to me being involved in it more in like, I want to say within the last 10 years. So I've been
Okay.
dancing, I've been doing choreos since like 97, 96, 97.
What?
So I've been a choreo dancer. I'll say studio hip hop. All right, I do it like
Okay.
this because back in the in the late '90s, early 2000s, a lot of those studio classes were called hip hop. But we learned later that we weren't doing hip hop. We were doing like personalized choreography to hip hop
Mm,
and pop music. So there was just a lack of awareness at the time, and so once I became more aware of like, oh, I'm just doing personalized choreography, I started to become more of like, okay, let me learn more about hip hop culture and
hmm.
am I doing? What am I doing? Is this really hip hop? And so I didn't get into breaking until 2016, and I was 37 at the time. Yeah.
What?
So
I
I'm
was
gonna be
gonna say,
44 next month.
that's so dope. And you have all the energy for it though too.
Very thankful I still have the energy. I feel like, it's interesting because people in their 40s, I mean, I'm actually meeting more people in their 40s and 50s now who have this energy and this enthusiasm to do what they want to do at a later age. But before, even when I was growing up, you hear a lot of like, I'm too old for this shit. I'm getting
I
too old. I'm
know.
too old. And yeah, maybe they're getting too old, and it's the mindset that we're being sort of driven by society that like, yeah, well, when you're in your 30s and 40s, life is over, or like there's like less to live for. But I
Hmm.
think there's actually more to live for. It's just we have to be aware of how much we can live for, and that whatever needs to be done, whether it's healing or just being more aware of what we have to offer the world, then life can start in your 40s.
Exactly. And your physical health though too, because I've learned that like because I think a while ago I think you said that you were kind of struggling with high blood pressure
Oh
though, right?
my God, yeah, that was actually a year ago. Yeah, so, yeah. I went for like a physical checkup, and I was told by my by the practitioner that I had high blood, and it kind of threw me off because I thought I was living a healthy life. And
I know,
so,
huh?
because we think what we're doing is right, and then when we go in, but who knows? Sometimes the doctors can kind of say things that are probably not aligned to how we're really feeling. But at least that diagnosis inspired me to live healthier and to make some changes to my diet, to my workout, and so that I'm more mindful to, keep my blood pressure low. And it actually is better. So when I went for a checkup a couple months ago, I'm good. So
Are you normal?
yeah, well, according to her, yeah, and I feel good. I actually feel better than more stronger than last year. So
Okay, that's so
yeah,
cool. So, I've noticed that you've been traveling a lot more. Is that due because you've been in the team for like a short period of time, though, right?
yes,
But
yes.
I've been noticing that you've been traveling a lot, and how did that start taking place? Is this because you start being more vocal, you start showing your face more?
Well, yeah. So I want to say it's half and half. I do for a lot of the times when I travel, I save my money and
Mm.
or I do what I need to do so that I can fly myself out and support these events, whether I compete or whether I just go and just be present and just show up.
Okay,
So I do that, and then other times I'm actually flown out, whether it's to teach a class or to judge or to exhibition. And yeah, you're right. I do notice it's pretty early in my journey. And if I can share briefly, I actually struggled with that, like feeling like I felt like I didn't deserve what was happening to me.
oh,
And because I was thinking in that mindset that I didn't deserve all the things that were happening to me, there was a lot of internal struggles happening within me. And so there's a lot of healing that I'm working through right now because of
okay.
thinking like I'm enough, I deserve this, and yeah. So I want to be able to embrace those blessings and not feel bad that those are happening to me. And that might actually, as I'm saying it, it might sound like what like Melissa should be or Mel should be thankful that all those things are happening to me. Yes, I am thankful, but there's one thing to be thankful, and then there's another thing to have to, like, you can say all like I'm thankful and all this gratitude, but when there's still stuff happening and there's like
I
mental
know.
turbulence in your head, there's that internal struggle, and that's what I'm working on.
Oh, that makes
You
sense.
know?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So so your place where you stay at, is that where you break?
Yes.
Or or I'm kind of confused. Is that a dance studio or is that where you
This
live?
is where I live. So I live with my husband and his son. He stays here every other month, or his son stays here every other month. But our entire living room is gutted, and it's just a practice space. So there's
What?
no couch. There's like a super tiny bookcase that we use as a table to eat. And but it's pretty empty. And this is just our practice spot. And when we want to do stuff, like we'll bring a table out, like a foldable table, and do stuff. But yeah, it's an empty living room that we have.
But that's so cool because you can break every day though, right?
Yes,
Or
yes,
dance.
yes. And it's kind of interesting because in my early days, I used to feel like I would have to go to public spots to want to
Mm-hmm.
be inspired to break. I need to be around people. I need to be around this energy. And although that is true in many ways, I feel like now I've sort of transitioned into like I'm gonna practice at home. I like practicing in the morning, and I feel like I get so much out of my day when I just kind of practice first thing in the morning. Do whatever I need to do, my mobility, my stretching, and whatnot, and then I have the rest of my day to do what I need to do. So it's a very huge shift since the last 2 years.
And you're originally from
I
San
am
Diego?
born and raised.
No way.
Yes.
I used to be in San Diego a lot in the 90s because of Asian One and Easy Rock when they would do the B-Boy Summit.
Yes. Yes, I know Asia
You
was
missed all
living
that, huh?
here, and I know whenever I see her, like, when I do see her, she's always like saying that she has a very special place in her heart for San Diego. And yeah, I feel like it's a gem to live here because this is an origin city for B-Boy Summit.
Yes, yes. You know, one thing I did notice about you though too is when whenever I would see you teach like your workshop, you stress the importance of hip hop dance. Like the party style dancing though. And I never really seen any B-girl like push that. And I noticed even the music you dance to is party, it's like hip hop, it's party style like music. And I want to know like why is that so important for you to teach that to today's generation?
Well, I maybe we can rephrase it, or maybe if I can rephrase it as
Okay.
like I'm not trying to push it or insist this on anyone. I just love doing hip. That's how I grew up. That's how I fell in love with dance. Is in the '90s, and my favorite music to dance to is New Jack Swing and just like the '90s hip hop in general. So
Okay.
that's what gets me happy. That's what gets me excited, and I feel my best, and I feel the most free in the
Me
cipher
too.
when it's '90s music. And so when I teach these workshops, I just teach what I love, and I'm actually in a place in my breaking where I'm trying to figure out like how can I showcase what I love in breaking, but not make it look like here's party dance and then here's breaking. Like, how can I mix
Oh,
it so that it makes sense to people rather than two different things just mashed together? And that's sort of been my journey at the moment.
that
Yeah,
makes sense though. I really
yeah,
like that because I seen that, when you were teaching, I come from that era because I grew up in that
yeah,
era, so I know exactly what you're doing. And to me, it's beautiful because when I hear like Tony, 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 when I hear
yeah,
like TLC, when I hear MC Light, I hear the Cookie Crew, like I'm at practice and I'm going
yeah,
off though, and everybody's looking at me like, yo, what's going on over there? But they
yeah.
don't understand. That's why I thrive. I love break beats
Yes,
and I love the new beats, but when you take it back to like 90s hip hop,
yeah,
it was just such a beautiful era that everything just made sense. The colors, the bright colors,
yes, yes.
the
The
the track
energy.
to
Yep,
the energy,
yep,
and I mean honestly, Filipinos, you're Filipino, right?
yes.
Yeah, Filipino like that, that was everything to Filipinos because I grew up around Philippines. My first crew was Lunacy Tribe, and they were all Pinoy.
Ah, okay.
So I came up in that era when everybody that was in the 90s, all the Filipino crews were dancing and doing the same thing that we're doing now. So when I see it with
Mhm.
you, it makes me smile because I'm just like, yeah, I kind of wish breaking could just be like that.
Well, I'm glad it makes you smile because it makes me smile doing it. It makes me smile listening to the music and even teaching it. Like, if it's
Hmm.
already creating positive impact in the classes that I'm teaching it at, why not? Why not teach it out there? Why, if it's helping dancers feel more confident, then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna teach it,
Mm,
and I just feel like that teaching party dances, teaching basic grooves, and teaching what
hmm.
I'm teaching in these classes, it's no matter what happens, people are leaving already feeling empowered. So I feel like
Right.
that there's something that's working, and that's why I continue to do that.
That's amazing though. So who is today's inspirations for you though? Who is certain people you can look at and you're just like, I love this person.
To be okay, yeah, to thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's all dancers who are over the age of 40 and still thriving. Like, those are
Oh,
the
really?
people who I'm laser focused on. I'm paying attention to these people who are over 40 because it's really like I'm not complaining, but I'm really figuring out what can I do to stay healthy, to be strong, and to thrive in this dance in my 40s, 50s, and 60s, because my energy,
Right.
my stamina, and the way I recover, it's very different than when I was in my 20s and my 30s. But at the same time, I gotta acknowledge that I was a choreo dancer. I was an upright dancer back then. And choreo
Yes.
dance and breaking are two completely different lanes. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so I'm figuring that out. So anyway, I'm training with Eddie Styles, Wicked,
Mm-hmm.
B-Boy Wicked, my coach. I love chatting it up with Profo, and anyone who's
Oh,
over the age of
okay.
40. I'm just like seeking these people out and being like, what are you doing? How are you doing this well? And just kind of picking their brain. And I'm also realizing too that everyone's different. So like I realized that I can pick everyone's brain and I could be like, okay, they're doing that, I'm gonna do that too. But not it doesn't work. Like not whatever works for like Profo or Rose from
Mm-hmm.
Colorado will not work for me, and whatever works for me may not work for them. And that's something I learned in this last year is that all of us are different. Things work for different people, and we're just gonna figure it out and learn along the way, and we just keep going. Like there's no hard formula on what works for 40 and over dancers. But what I do know is that we just gotta have fun doing it. That's it. That to me is it's the same amongst everyone
Right.
who I speak to is like we just have to have fun doing this, and then that's how we're gonna continue to thrive. Is enjoying this process, enjoy the journey, and there's no hard answer on how to like do it. We just do it.
Mm. Very well played. So are you on that road to breaking for gold too as well, or is that
I,
something?
I was for a very short time, and
Okay.
I'm just gonna, I realized like, okay, this is probably, oh shoot, my cat's right behind this
That's
phone.
okay.
I learned along the way that there was so much I needed to work on, not just the
Mm.
physical part, but the mental part, because
Yes.
that road to the Olympics is a different road. And I feel like at least on my end there was a lot of things that I was dealing with internally, like in
Mm.
mentally, that I wasn't ready for to pursue it head on. So once I acknowledge that I can probably do the physical part and do everything I can to be prepared, but I knew that if my mind isn't right, I'm not gonna do as well as I could. So
Okay.
yeah, so I think I had to take a step back from that dream and just work on myself, take my
Okay.
time, be patient, and let it be okay that I didn't see results yesterday, and just keep doing it. And you know what? Who knows? If breaking comes back in 2028, then I can pursue it then. And I
Oh,
truly believe
okay.
that I can because Morris is about to be 40 and he's doing it. So that's someone I'm like, yo, like I can kind of follow in okay, he's doing it, he's about to be 40, he's looking strong, and I could be that female that could be strong, looking strong, and road to Olympics in my 40s, like late 40s, because by the time 2028 happens, I'm gonna be 48, and
That's
I still
beautiful.
feel like I still feel like I'll be going strong in 48 at 48
Yeah.
because look at Profo, you know,
Look at
Venom. They're like
oh,
they're past 45 and they're looking strong.
yeah. So is Pope. So is Pope One. So is
Yes,
Little
yes.
Caesar. Ramon is pushing mid 40s though. Like Vietnam is 40, 40 something too. Yeah. So a lot of the 90s dancers, along with myself though, like we're just at that point where it's like, yeah, we have to maintain and we gotta look good.
Well, it's not yeah. Just look good, feel good,
Mm-hmm.
share the good. Do good for the community. All of that. But yeah, so road to Olympics is put on hold. But road to an amazing life is where I'm at with breaking. Like that's kind of where I'm at. With it.
Yeah. That really makes sense. I like how you put that because a lot of times as dancers, we never really share how much, like it is to be eternally the things that we go through, the trauma that we gotta heal in our life. And healing is everything because you can do all the moves, but if your mental's not right,
Yep.
you're gonna be there and it's not gonna feel like it's worth it because you haven't
Mhm.
healed.
Oh,
And I think,
100.
yes.
100%. I feel like I think that's the work I need to do right now, or I am doing it. Once and who knows, I think it's a constant like journey to always being better. But I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
man, once there's a moment I feel like that's gonna click for me where all the work that I put in these last 2 years, working on my own inner healing, my self-love, my self-acceptance, it's gonna click and my breaking is gonna shift. But this needed to
Oh,
happen in here and in here for my breaking to transform.
I can see it though. Like the last clip I seen, I see the progression. You know, I've been
Thank you.
watching you the last 2 years, but I can see the progression that you're putting your moves together, and they're starting to connect,
Mhm.
and like you're dancing longer. You know, when it comes to the breaking aspect,
Ah, yes. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
that's what I noticed. Um, One thing I want to stress though too, I got actually one of my friends on here, Little John. He's one of the guys, one of the founding members of the Filipino crew that I was involved with.
Oh,
And I just wanted to share though, like the importance of Filipinos to hip hop is it's like it's everything though, because when I first seen breaking come back in the 90s, everybody I seen was Filipino, and I couldn't even believe it. This is the days with the super baggy
mhm.
pants, the cross colors, the long t-shirts,
Yeah.
and it's like Pinoy's played like such a huge part into breaking though, and I always wanted to share that. I felt like Filipinos was like the extended family to us as Black people because I did the research. Like Filipinos, the indigenous people to the Philippines are
Mhm,
Negritos, you
mhm, mhm,
and those are Black people,
mhm,
you
mhm.
know. And I feel like like the culture, like Filipinos and African American people, we've always been like that since day one. And I think Filipino contributions to like hip hop was just amazing, and it's still amazing.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share that with you though too as well.
Thank you. And I want to just kind of, flip that. Thank you for sharing that. And also flip, I'm always grateful for, this dance. I acknowledge that I am a Filipina participating in a Black rooted dance, Black rooted culture. And I'm very
Hmm.
grateful to be accepted and to be embraced in this culture. So,
Yes,
I'm definitely always acknowledging that. So thank you for
I
saying
think
that as
yeah.
well.
For me, I think that's the only thing I ever really ask for people is to remember, like where the roots come from, because I can see breaking it's starting to get super popular, and a lot of,
Yeah.
companies are going to start coming in. But I just hope when somebody gets to that
Mhm.
platform that they don't forget where it came from,
Yes. I think there's a
you know?
lot of people, at least who I'm surrounded by, that are very good at acknowledging that, hip hop and breaking and even freestyle hip hop are all Black rooted. So, I mean, I feel like it's gonna be consistently put out there. And I'll
Yes,
help put that message out there as well.
me
I mean,
too.
whenever I teach these workshops face to face, that's the one of the first things I say is I acknowledge I'm a Filipina teaching you a Black rooted dance, and
Yes,
I would just say thank you for trusting me, and I just want to thank Black culture and the Black community for embracing me and allowing me to share and to trust me to share, and all of
hmm
that. So that's like one of my list of things to say before I start.
yes, man, that makes my eyes water because there's so many brothers and sisters like on the West Coast and East Coast that put their everything into this dance, and a lot of them still live in the Bronx. A lot of them still live in the projects here in Los Angeles, and they're not really getting recognized for it.
Yeah.
The people who passed away that contribute everything, literally died for this culture, and their names are just kind of like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this is the dude that started locking. This is the Beagle, one of the first Beagles that went to the floor. Because when breaking first came out, like when it first started to evolve, it was the females. I got the history from the OGs from the East Coast. It was the Black females, but once it went to the floor, that's when the males stepped in. But on top, the top rocking and style and Bernie, that was all females.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm just on my quest to share this because breaking officially is 50 years old this year,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and it's earlier. People can say, oh, it's not really that date, but when it was really acknowledged and it was going on, it was like between 73 and 74,
Mm-hmm.
1973, 1974,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that sometimes people what I've also heard and learned is
Hmm.
sometimes when it was like first published on the Village Voyager or the Village Voice, at like when
Hmm.
Bombada, mentioned that it was hip hop. That's kind of when they stamped it. Like that's kind of why when they stamped it during like this is so it was like 1973
Right,
was when that article came out. That's one of them. I mean, I know of course
right,
Cool Herc's part and everything, but there's so many different like times in '73 where people acknowledged hip hop or a birth or
right.
an
Yeah,
origin.
yeah. Yeah. The term itself, from what I did the research, they said it didn't really get labeled until like 1981 or 1980 when they asked Bambaataa.
Oh,
They was like, "What is
no,
this
you know
called?"
what? I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. I said that wrong. You are right. It's not in the '70s. It's in the '80s. In the
Right.
bill, I was mixing the decades, but you are right. Sorry. My apologies
Yeah,
for anyone who heard that. My apologies. I
it's
was like brain farting.
okay. I mean, that's why I'm here for,
Yeah.
though, because everybody calls me a historian. Like, I trace this down to the original roots of everything. So, like, I know who all the founding fathers are. The first two B-boys, from my understanding, is a dude named Sasa and a dude named Trixie. You know, and
Mm.
then the twins came,
Yeah.
after, and then the first B girls were like Sha Rock, MC Pebble Poo, another girl named Wendy. But from my first understanding, it was like Sha Rock and Pebble Poo was like the first like B girls that was in the Bronx, so African American girls. And
Yeah.
this is late '70s though. This is way before the '80s when Cool Herc was doing the parties in 1520 Cedric.
Sure. Yeah. I think I love that you're like always doing your research, and I love to do that too. I also notice that sometimes information are is always
I
like see
know
you
it's
nodding
getting
already knows,
changed.
but I think it's still good. It's still good. Like no matter even things are information's conflicting, just keep doing our research. Let's keep figuring out. Let's keep listening to the stories because everyone's voices from that time they matter. They were
Right.
there even though maybe they're not as active or whatever it is, but they still have something very important to share.
Hmm.
So I think it's always good to do that knowledge or to do that research.
Right. So what is your goals for this year though in 2023? Do you have a goal that you're trying to reach before the year is up?
Um,
Or are you just doing the journey?
I'm doing the journey, and I mean, I have a lot of different goals, but it's not just like I don't see it happening this year.
Oh,
But there was one thing that I
okay.
put out there. I said, okay, 2023, I'm going to enter my first footwork battle, and so that's what I'm
Mm.
training for. So next week, I'm going to fly to Seattle, and I'm going to enter the footwork battle at Massive Monkeys, and that's my very first
Oh,
footwork battle that
okay.
I'm going to enter, and that's what I've been preparing for like these last 2 months, and I'm pretty excited about it. I've been, I can think like when I entered my first 40 and over, when I trained for like when I was just training footwork, period, it felt so heavy and it actually felt really discouraging because I just felt really
Mm.
like shitty at it. But now that I'm training footwork, it's
Okay.
like wow, I feel like a different person, and I love training footwork now. So I already feel like I feel the growth already. So regardless of what happens at Massive Monkeys, I already know I've leveled up just for myself.
Right. Who's training you for the footwork?
So I have three people. So
Okay.
I have Wicket who kind of coaches me. I train a lot with Eddie Styles who also coaches me as well, and my husband who helps me do rounds and he helps me with like packaging, my combos and making sure that it doesn't look too choppy and cut and paste. But so those are
Mm-hmm.
like the three people. Those are mainly the three people I train with.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's amazing though. Um, I want to ask you too, because you've been in the scene for a while. Is there anything that you can see within our community that you look at and you're just like, I'm not really down with that, or I don't really like that too much, or is everything just like because there's some stuff that I see
Mhm.
and that I feel like is kind of feel like is being stripped away from the culture. But I just stay quiet about it because I never want to be like, oh my gosh, too old school. he's hating on the new generation, but I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, the only it's not something I'm really, I wish it would be different. But it's a concern that I have, which is the
mm-hmm.
saturation of events that are going on.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
lot of events that happen back to back weekends, multiple jams on the same weekend. And so for me, it's hard, like that's a concern because only because I want to be able to support. So it's like, okay, if I go to this jam, like if I were to go to, okay, so a perfect example is first weekend of July is Eddie Styles or, the Full Force San Diego chapter. They're hosting their event here in San Diego. It's the
Oh,
July 2nd.
okay.
That same weekend in Acapulco, there's another jam that I know is like hella dope. So it's like I'm gonna choose Eddie because I'm loyal to Eddie. But I also want to go to the Acapulco jam. So like that's what's happening is there's like an oversaturation of events where it's hard to support, and it's like then I also know that burnout starts to happen because everyone's just entering everything.
Mm,
So other than that, I mean, we don't have to go to those, but I just like to go because I want to build and I just want to enjoy the cipher. But that's the
right.
concern I see is there's a lot of events happening and it's hard to support them all. But if they're within their own community, if it's already, being heavily supported within just their community, then there's nothing wrong. Yeah.
Mm, okay, that makes sense. I like
Or I
that.
don't think there's anything
Uh,
wrong.
right. Another message though, like you being a female into breaking and obviously being older, and I mean, there's a lot of people that pay attention to what I do, and there's a lot of females. And I want to ask you if you can give advice to somebody watching that's younger, that's looking at breaking, that's like, because, when we're younger, we don't really think about like the future. We're just in the now, you know. But if I can look back, there's some things that I'll be like, damn, I wish I would have took more responsibility on my health, or when I'm injured, like to let the injuries heal. Though, what advice would you give to today's Beagles that are watching in 2023?
Yes. So we are older longer than we are younger. So when
Mm,
we
mm,
train, we need to train knowing that we're older longer. Does that make sense? So if we want to have
yeah.
longevity in this dance, we need to train for future. We need to do things that allow us to have longevity in this dance. We need to do things so that we can continue to prolong and stay strong and know that, and just kind of be aware like, all right, I need to, like creating habits, I need to stretch. I need to cool down. I need to eat healthy. I need to take my vitamins. I need to sleep. And it's
Yeah.
hard because we're when we feel like Superwoman or Superman when we're in our teens and in our 20s and maybe even in our early 30s, it's like hard because
Mm-hmm.
you truly feel like that rule doesn't apply to me. But at different times in everyone's life at different times, that's gonna hit you and you're not gonna realize it because your life is gonna go from Superman to holy shit, you know?
I know, and it
So
happens to everybody.
it happens to everyone and it happens to everyone at different times in our life. And you hear people talking about it and you were like, oh, that's not going to apply to me. It will later. If it's not in your 30s, it'll happen in your 40s. But anyway, so that's one main thing I would say is like when we're training, like if you're flexible, try to stay flexible because those
Mm,
things are going to help you stay strong and continue to do the things you want to do when you're older. Eat healthy, try to sleep, 6 to 8 hours, 10 hours, or train yourself to do that. And just create healthy habits so that you can um, do this for the long run. And
mm-hmm.
lastly, like if it is possible, this might be already a foreign piece of advice, but it is possible to have a career as a dancer. So I know a lot of people say, or a lot of parents, they would say stuff like, okay, are you going to be a dancer? Well, you need to have another career on the side. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but there are creative ways to make income, to do what you love. So it's possible. You just got to think creative and think outside of the box and know that you don't always have to trade time for money. You could think creatively to make money when you're not always trading your time for it. We're in that era right
Could you-
now where we could do that.
yeah, that's what I was going to share. Could you give an example, like how you said, like how would you create an income? Like you were saying though, being like a woman in hip hop, like could you give an example, like how you were saying?
Okay. Well, this is possible. So right now, I live in San Diego, and there's a ton of opportunities to be a dancer, choreographer, manager, and to do things in entertainment here in San Diego. There is a
Mm,
lot. There is a lot, and so it's possible to just be a dancer here in San Diego. Period. And then to be a
okay.
choreographer, to make extra money, to manage dancers, to do privates, to, create
Mm,
some type of, course where you can share with other people. And then that could be some type of passive income. That's something I'm building right now, but I'm very positive that will do well.
you have the space. Would you do that at your place, or your place is just kind of like just only for you?
Oh, I do privates here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool. How often do you do that?
I haven't done privates in a long time because I've been like booked with other gigs. So I'm
Oh,
actually going to put out there, I hope it's okay to say this, but I'm actually going to
no, go
start
ahead.
opening myself up to private. So if anyone who's listening and watching this is looking for privates, whether it's on Zoom or face to face here in San Diego, I'll be posting something on my social media within the week if you want to book something with me. So stay posted on that.
Mm, mm. I wanted to share with you too. I don't know if I ever told you this, but you know the video where you were dancing and you had the
Yeah.
heels on? I put it on my TikTok like
Oh,
maybe about like a year or two ago, and that video it got it got 40,000 views. 40,000 views with 1,000, like maybe 2,000 comments.
yeah.
That video for you, like how what was that like for you? Because I think that video put you on the map.
It, it definitely is the video that keeps on going. Like, it's shared by random people, um, and it gets a lot of attention. Even though there was an incident where a woman just shared it, and I don't know her, and it got like a ton of attention as well. So it's wild. I mean, to me, it's like I was kind of like, oh, I wish they would credit me,
Yeah.
because no
Yeah.
one's crediting that I'm the dancer. But what's nice is in the comments, people will credit me.
Yes.
So whoever watches it, somewhere in the comments, someone will share. This is B
Yeah, they
Girl
knew who
Mel, and
you
they'll tag me.
were. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Even in on my TikTok audience, it's not a B-boy audience, it's just a TikTok audience. But somebody put B girl, they put Mel, that's Mel from San Diego. So
Ah.
people know who you were, you know?
Well, I mean, shouts to Common because he's the one that posted that, and that was the one that really exploded. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
that's awesome though. So did he actually communicate with you or he just shared the
He
video?
shared the video and he follows me. So
Oh,
I mean, he
okay.
doesn't like interact. Like I don't see him liking or
Yeah.
commenting, but yeah, I know he follows me. And Quest Love is actually when I reshared that same video last year. Quest Love commented classic, and I was like, oh shoot! So that was kind of a
Oh,
nice little comment. But yeah, I know I get it's so wild because I get comments on or I get messages saying, I remember you from the James Brown video, like and it's like, and people want to see more of that. I don't think I can ever recreate that. That
I
is for
know.
that moment at that time during that era of the pandemic. And I'm gonna just continue to share what I share. And yeah, I'm paying attention to what people like and what makes people have joy. But I don't think I can ever recreate something like that. That's
Yeah, because
there, and that's gonna continue. And luckily, it continues to bring people joy till this day, like almost 3 years later.
right, right,
2 years
right.
later, 2 years later.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, basically, we answered. I
yeah,
mean, you answered everything that I wanted to share
yeah.
with you. And before I let you go, I always ask people nowadays, is there anything that you might want to ask me? Because a lot of times people always ask questions like, yo, like, how you got so much footage, or what do you, like, what's up with Zulu? How do you know style limits? Is there anything that you might want to ask me?
Well, it's not necessarily asking you, but I want to acknowledge and
Okay.
thank you for the work that you do in this community, for being who you are, to share platforms like this, to have lives. I know you do lives often, and I know
Yeah.
that you like to highlight and um, amplify women on your platform. So thank you for doing
Mm-hmm.
that. And we see that, and we're very grateful for you to do that. And also for, yeah, the like the classic footage, please continue to share that, because that is stuff that we need to see. That is your version, or even our version, of continuing to share the names, to
Yeah.
put people's names on the map, and to let people know this is who they are, this is what they've done. And let's not forget, because when we see that, we could be like, oh, that's they created like, you could see the lineage of what kind of inspiration and imprint that they've made in the community.
Right.
So it's more just like a thank you, and to keep doing what you're doing, because your work is appreciated and seen, and wants to be continued to be seen.
Thank you for sharing that though too. There's a lot of people that I share that, and everybody got families now because the footage is like 25,
Yeah.
30 years ago, and it's like the kids that's who I'm highlighting, like they know who I am.
Mhm.
And sometimes like they'll put them on the phone, and they'll be like, "Hi." I'm like, "Who's this?" So I'm Mike, Mikey Ice. And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's my dad, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's your dad." And I'm thinking like, look at that. Like that's how your legacy lives on, because the youth, the next generation of kids, like they know the name now. They know who I am is because they're watching the dad on the phone, because everybody has phones,
Sure.
and the one thing that I stress though too, is the acknowledgement of women into breaking though. Like it's everything. Like you can't have the b-boy without the b-girl. I knew that when I was a kid, because when I was growing up, like you see me when I'm top rocking, and that's all from my mother. I learned by watching women how to dance,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
And I know there's a big girl culture right now where it's like all the women are starting to get more professional. They're speaking, they're DJing, they're traveling.
Mhm.
And I just want to be always remembered as like when people see me like look, that dude right there, like he he shared my video, or
Mhm.
he's always showing love to the B girls. And I just always want to tell, even for yourself, like I appreciate you for wanting to do this, because I know you're taking time out of your life that you could be doing something else. But for me, it makes me happy that I have a connection with you, because I like to stay active.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them dudes that's like, okay, I'm just stuck back in the day. Like now was now. I can't go back to 95,
Mhm.
so I can do something now. And this is my way
Exactly.
of staying, of staying
Yep.
active and being a part of what's going on today, instead of just being like, oh man,
Yep.
it
No,
ain't like how I used to be. They don't understand nothing, man.
yeah.
I'm from the old school.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you're still alive. Like, let's see what's up with now. Like now is now.
Yep. And that's what we see. That's what we see.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm super happy
I
though. Thank you, Mel. Appreciate
I
it.
appreciate
Hope
you.
you have a good day, and I'm gonna be watching you, from when you do your trips and everything. I'll pay attention though, so I see you judging, and I'm just thinking like, man, this girl's everywhere. It makes me smile though to
I
see that. I like to see people succeed like in this life.
I appreciate your energy. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, Mel. Have a
Take
good night.
care. Good
Peace.
night. Bye bye.